Welcome back to the Snow Family Racing Garage, and if you remember, I teased you with some very large, big black bars that kind of look like this once I get far enough back that you can see it. This is the rear sway bar that we're going to be putting on the Riviera. Now, the tail of the car is already jacked up, so I'm going to start looking at how this guy is going to fit. Now, this is going to be one of those fun ones that makes me wish I had 3 arms and, a whole nother set of things. But, I think this is going to be fun. So let's dig in and see what we've got. So just to show you guys what we've got, I've got the front and rear sway bars from Addco. I'll post the part numbers below. I believe the rear is a 934. Can't tell you what the front is off the top of my head, but you can buy them pretty much separately. They come in 2 boxes. They come with all the hardware you need. I've got all the hardware in here, U-bolts, nuts, bolts, hardware, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to start laying things out and see how they fit. So per the instructions, it wants us to take all the hardware and assemble the plates on the bar. I'm just going to do it, loosely. I'm not going to tighten anything down hard until we get it on the car and everything in place. So let's put the plates on, the U-bolts, all those things, get those put in place on this sway bar, and then we'll hold it up to the car. And this may actually turn out better and let me use a C-clamp to hold it to the control arm and then do what I need to do. We're going to see how that turns out. Anyways, let's start assembling parts. So let's talk about this for a quick moment. You've got U-bolts that are meant to go over the sway bar, and you've got a nut and bolt combo that's meant to go through the front plate. Nuts go on the bottom, obviously. Make sure you put these so that way they're pointed outward. Otherwise, it's just wrong because the control arms are supposed to be on the outside of the sway bar. So yeah, let's start assembling. Before I get too carried away with myself here, what I did is I just kind of centered the sway bar roughly under the pinion, under the bulk of the pumpkin. Slid it forward as far as makes sense so that way it's even on both sides. Use some C-clamps to hold it vertically to the control arm. Now keep in mind these are not original control arms. I had one that was broken and I had to have these made, so these are not factory control arms, but they're going to do their job just great. So I'm working on drilling holes vertically through the control arm, which is a pain, but what the things we do for speed. And once I get one side done, I'm going to move to the other side and get it bolted up. We're getting close. The holes in the bracketry are drilled and nuts and bolts are in place. Yes, that sticks out a little far. No, it's not going to hurt the tire. Just in case anyone was asking, I'm going to throw the rear tires back on this thing, get it back on the ground. So with the rear bar installed, let's move to the front bar. Now let me turn the camera around. I'll show you what comes in the kit with the front bar, which is part number, 2062 from Addco. There's a lot of sources that you can get the Addco bar from, so pick your source, and go from there. So let me turn the camera around, show you what comes in the kit, because it's pretty good. I'm pleased. This should be pretty easy to get installed. So with the Addco 2062 front sway bar, you get the hardware, which includes the end link for washers. I'm assuming that goes on the new bracket that holds that to the frame, and 2 of the bushings to match the diameter of that bar. Now, these bushings are a little interesting. Oh, hello, there's a dead fly there too. That did not come with the kit, I promise. But interesting thing, if we can get the camera to focus a little bit here, it's actually got kind of a fuzzy liner on the bushing. Oop, there we go. Now I got it to focus a little bit. That's goal is to, kind of hold some grease and be, slippery for the bar to rotate in, because as you go through the suspension, swing, the bar is going to move up and down a little bit. And you want it to move freely so that way it can do its job correctly. So as always, I'm going to grease up the ID of this before everything gets put together. The instructions do say to support the front wheels, the front end. It'll make the bar coming off a lot easier. I'm going to look at it real quick to make sure that I can get the sway bar end links that are there off with the wheels on. Otherwise, I got to get a little creative. I've got some blocks around somewhere. They're over there. that go under the tire, hold the car up real sweet. I like using them. Let's see if we can use those real quick. So with the car still on the ground, this is how much room we have to get around the front suspension. I think I'm just going to put a jack stand under the control arm so that way I've got a little bit more room to work. You know, I don't want it. You know, that represents a fair bit of space taken up by the wheel, and I may need that space to get the bar out of the car, which is a little unique because the bar is, it goes through some interesting sheet metal-y stuff. We'll work on that in just a minute. Let's get the car jacked up. The slightly all too familiar side of the Riviera's front end. Anyways, so here is the sway bar. You can see the end link there behind the drum. I've got a hand holding a flashlight, so I can't point very easily. You've also got the bracketry there that holds the sway bar up. Now remember how I said it's a little interesting? There's some sheet metal that goes around it for splash guarding and, you know, noise, vibration, and harshness and all that stuff. So we got to undo everything and then try and kind of wiggle it back and forth and snake it out those holes. I think we can do it. We just got to see what happens. And barring that, I got to look at those splash guards and see what it takes to get them off. Let's dig in and see what happens. Please excuse the fan noise. It's kind of warm and the fan is nice. I cannot slide the sway bar out, so I got to take the splash guard off. There's 3 screws because there's nothing on the back side. One there, and one over there. And it's the same on this side over here. You just have the radiator hose to deal with, so I think I may have to do one of them by hand. So they look like 7/16. The sway bar end links were 9/16. The sway bar holder upper bracketry thingy-majiggers, they were 1/2 inch, and you got to sneak, let me show you, you got to sneak through the frame to reach the bolt, and then you have to go to the other side and snake through the spring pocket to get to that one. So they're a little bit of a pain, but you know, it's all worth it in the end. So I'm going to get the splash guards off. Quick little word of advice. When you undo the splash guard, make sure you've got a hand on it. It'll kind of rest on the strut bar, but when you get the other one free, just be careful you don't drop the sway bar on and knock your teeth out, because you don't need a trip to the emergency room today. So just be very careful you don't hurt yourself. In the event you are curious, how much thicker is the new bar compared to the old bar? Keep in mind, I measured this guy at about 850 over the grease and junk. That one's like 1.25 inches. So, you know, you figure on a good day, let's just claim 800 thousandths versus 1 inch 250 thousandths. That is a huge difference there. This thing should be a real corner-hugging machine, and it was already a decent handling car before. It just got better. So, let's get that bar back into the car, kind of the reverse way it came out, which was kind of a left, a right, a wiggle, a tickle, and you know, it just kind of popped out. So let's get that in. Just so that you can see, I've got it loosely held into place. By no means are those guys tightened down. I'm going to get the end links put in. It follows the correct factory contour. After I get the end links just, you know, loosely in place, I'm going to tighten the bar down, and then I'm going to put the splash guards, pardon my elbow, put the splash guards back on. The new sway bar is in and things are tightened down. Word of advice. The end links that it comes with are physically too short for the Riviera, for the 65 specifically. So since I had recently rebuilt the front end, the end links I had were in good shape. Yeah, this one probably would be a little bit tougher, but you kind of got to go with what works, and this is what I got, and this is what works. Words of advice. Put everything up loosely. Get the end links in loosely. And then go through and tighten everything down. It'll make your life a lot easier as far as being able to wiggle things and help get things into where they need to be. So, recap. End links that the Addco sway bar comes with, you don't need them. You need a good set of factory correct OE style. So, I'm going to get the splash guards back installed here and there, even though they could be easily omitted at this point, but I'm just going to put them back because I can. And throw the wheels on this, and we're going to get ready for a test drive. It's back on all fours. It's time to go look for clunks, thunks, bangs, squeaks, rattles, you know, all that stuff. So, I think it's better already. You can move, you know, the bumper on one side and the whole front end goes down. So that means the sway bar is doing its job. We're going to find out in a minute. On the preliminary test drive, everything appears to be down tight, no clunks, thunks, bangs. We got a couple of big, long, sweeping turns in our neighborhood that are kind of the weather gauge of how's it handling. And you can roll into it and you hardly even have any body roll. It's just flat as a pancake. That's a little over 30 and it just tracks and goes. So we are very, very happy with the new front and rear bars. Yeah, there's a little moisture in the sky, but we're okay. So the car's back safe in the garage after that test drive. Yeah, there was a little moisture in the air, but what good is a car if you don't drive it? I mean, it's not made of sugar or nothing, and you can always wash it later, but, you know, I'm the kind of guy that's going to go beat on my stuff no matter what, and a little bit of dirt, a little bit of water doesn't bother me, but that's just the drag racer in me, because, you know, what good is it if you're not beating on it? Anyways, so, update. Front and rear sway bars are done. The thing handles dead flat. You know, right behind the Riviera is a 2002 Monte Carlo SS. It's a decent handling car. But what does that car have to do with the Riviera? They are now extremely comparable as far as flatness through the turn, the way it feels in the turns, the way the car sets up. And I'm not saying that, you know, any modern car is any better or worse than a classic. It's just the best comparison that I've got at the moment. So a decent handling newer car and something from 1965 that are now in the same league, I think that's a win-win-win to me. So stay tuned, because we're going to put this car on a road course. We're about 5 miles or so from Utah Motorsports Complex, originally built by Larry H. Miller way back, I want to say like 2006, 7, 8, somewhere in there. Anyways, we're going to have this car out there sometime soon. We got to find the next good open track day that fits into our schedules and all that stuff. But I promise, we're going to go hustle this thing around a road course. You know, how cool is that going to be, seeing something this big, this real, this old, this awesome? Because, I mean, this is the coolest thing we've got at the moment. That's going to be fun on a road course. We're going to surprise some people, I'm pretty sure. The thing does not have any more body roll that feels like you're going to scrape the door handle off. Guys, I'm thrilled with the Addco parts. I'll put links to where you can get your own, and I'll make sure all the part numbers are in there, and you can get your own stuff to make your own Riviera. Not that there's that many of these out there, but guys, let's face it. Wouldn't it be cool if yours handled really sweet too? Promise, guys, it's an upgrade worth doing. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.